Are you ready for the best damn sports radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that then. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know, coming to the sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, still listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches, won't cut you short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And welcome to the Man Hour, everybody. It's your boy, Brandon Combs. It's Sunday. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Buckheister isn't here, so none of his nonsense tonight. But we do got Torry, so we've got a lot of his nonsense tonight. But at any rate, before we bring Torry on, make sure you guys go to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise. Get yourself some Man Hour swag. As well, if you are on YouTube, Facebook, click that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything to click the like button either. And for as low as 99 cents a month, you can become a member of Man Hour Nation and get some backstage pass stuff going on for yourself. But without further ado, let's bring my boy, Torry. What's going on, buddy?
It was a long weekend, my friend. I feel like I put on 1,000 miles on my vehicle this weekend. It was I was all the way I toured pretty much all of southeast Wisconsin this weekend.
All of southeast Wisconsin, looking for apartments, right? Doing that big move.
The big move. I think I maybe have found a winner. So we'll see. There's a couple other places I want to talk to get an idea about them. But yeah, no, this one I like the golf. This one's on a golf course. It's brand new construction. Like the apartment's not even fully built yet. So
if it's a 2-bedroom and you're looking for a roommate, no, I'm just joking.
I was gonna say it's only a 1-bedroom, and Michelle hasn't kicked you out yet. So
not yet,
not yet.
So are you looking like because I know you're going to work in Milwaukee. Are you looking in the Milwaukee area? Are you looking, in the surrounding areas? What's going on?
So I've been kind of looking at both. And so downtown Milwaukee, parking is a joke. As well, any metro city, downtown parking is always a joke. And a couple of the places I looked at, they were awful. Like, I'm like, the one place I drove around for 45 minutes. I'm glad I was early for the appointment because I was right on time by the time I found a place to park downtown. And it was a decent enough place, but it's like in a college district, and I'm a little too old to be living in a college district. Like, I'm like, oh my God, all the food around here, like, there was a cheesesteak place like right underneath me. There was a pizza place. There was a brewery on one side. There was a brewery on the other. I'm like, this is actually awesome. And then like, yeah, this is like right next to the UW Milwaukee campus. And I'm like, everything just made sense.
You could be just like the dude from Old School though, if you went into a college town. I mean, you could Frank the Tank. I mean, we're going streaking. I could totally see you being that guy.
Yeah, I'm a little.
As
old
Michelle says, bye, Combs. She gave me up quick.
She's just like, I get the whole bed to myself. Okay.
Yeah. No, she wouldn't even take it to herself. She'd bring Piper in there with us, our pup. She'd have Piper in the bed. She'd ask me all the time if I could sleep in the basement so that Piper could sleep. Oh, what are you, out of your mind? Anyway,
I will tell you, looking for a place to live these days, especially with the insane housing prices, has thrown
tell me about it.
Apartment places through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at a place that it was really nice. Like, the place was gorgeous, but it was barely 550 square feet. And they wanted $1,500 a month for it.
It's insane. And even like, because we're looking for houses too, we start looking at houses. If you want to get in on a house around this area, you've got to put in easily $30,000 to $40,000 more than what the asking price is, because if not, you're going to get outbid, and people are going back and forth fighting with, and everybody is getting more than what they're asking for their houses right now, and it's absolutely insane.
So one of my friends came up with the best advice ever, because actually my best friend and his wife just put their house up too, and she said, what you should do, list your house. This is the perfect time to list your house, but then go rent for a year, let the housing market come back down, and then you have even more money for your down payment. She's like, honestly, that's what I would do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It depends. Not everybody can do that. It depends who can do that, who can't. So.
Mm-hmm. So let's get to some sports, because that's what we're all here to listen to. Speaking of which, guys, you guys out there in the chat, let us know. We've got a question for you guys. We've been talking about this behind the scenes for quite a while now. Do you guys prefer it when we just talk NFL? Like, is that your favorite part of the show, or do you like it when we delve into other sports? Do you like the baseball talk? Do you like the basketball talk? Do you like the, rare occasions where we'll talk hockey or golf? Do you like that type of stuff, or would you rather just hear us talk nothing but football all the time? So let us know in the chat line what you'd like to hear. Tori and I have been talking about starting up a man-hour baseball show as well. Probably would not kick off until August, but, if that's something you guys would like to hear, let us know, because that's something that, we would love to do, but we need some feedback. Is that something you guys would even be interested in listening to? So let us guys know. And speaking of sports, man, we got a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. And the Phoenix Suns are, on fire right now. They are just... Can anybody beat the Phoenix Suns?
Oh, it's a good question. The X factor for them has been the evolution in the playoffs of DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, finally now in year 3, looks like the number 1 pick that they picked him to be. And I don't know if you saw the article. He has completely credited Chris Paul with lighting a fire under him, basically saying he pushes me where I need to be pushed. He has made me a better person. Chris Paul said, look, him and I had some heated exchanges, nothing bad, but it's like a dad son, brother to brother type thing. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was, this is what you need to do. And he finally took it to heart. And, being a 21, 22-year-old kid, I don't know about you. I didn't listen very well, but
I still don't listen very well. Ask Michelle.
I was gonna say you can ask a lot of people that I still don't listen very well. So it's like I'm a mistake. I'll make it. It's my mistake. But I think though that has been the X factor, and they right now the way they are playing, they are the prohibitive favorites to win it all. Even if they play my Milwaukee Bucks, I would put money on the Phoenix Suns to win it all.
Yeah, they are playing such good basketball right now. Devin Booker is a freaking phenom, and Chris Paul is playing like he has got something to prove all of a sudden. So this team is... Are they beatable? Yes. That's the obvious answer. I don't think there's a team in the NBA that's unbeatable, as we proved with the Los Angeles Lakers this year. But the Phoenix Suns, I don't know if the Bucks or the Hawks, whichever one was that series, and I think that's going to be a 7-game series, is going to be able to take down the Suns. And not only that, but a rested Suns. There's going to be a rested Phoenix Suns team when we get to the finals, and you might have to go to a 7-game war with one or the other. Now, we talked about this before. We talked about, whether or not you would rather have your team, go to 7 games or have your team rested heading into a series. Sometimes if you're rested heading into a series, sometimes that means there's rust and you got to shake off the rust. And sometimes the team could come out and before you know it, you're down 2-0 because you had too much time off in between the series. With this Phoenix Suns team, with an aging Chris Paul, I feel like the rest would only do them that much better. And I don't think the Phoenix Suns are losing this year. I think the Phoenix Suns are going to be your NBA champions.
And you just said, like you said, with an aging Chris Paul. We've been saying an aging Chris Paul for like 7 years now. And the dude's about to turn down a $40 million a year option because he will get more on the free market as a soon-to-be 37-year-old point guard. That is ridiculous.
It's absolutely insane.
He does not slow down. He just doesn't slow down.
Yeah, I was watching him actually today on it was the Celebrity Family Feud edition, and it was him versus Steph Curry's family. It was pretty funny. It was pretty good stuff. I like Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul as a human being. I like Chris Paul as a basketball player. For me to watch him win another NBA title would be something that I would just love to see.
He doesn't have one though.
That's what I mean. To have him put a ring on his finger, I would love to see it.
I absolutely like that. There again, if my Bucks end up making the finals and the Suns were to beat the Bucks, I would be okay with it because I am a Chris Paul fan. Yeah. So I would be okay because I'm like, dude has put in his time. He's been a phenomenal player. He's played the game the right way. He's just one of those. He's one of the good guys in the game. And now,
you've got a personal stake in this, though, right? I mean, you would love to see Chris Paul win one, unless he's going up against your Milwaukee Bucks, right?
What did I make a bet on that one? I did make a bet, didn't I?
I don't know. Did you?
I think I did. Again, I don't know. Was it with Wyatt?
It might have been. I have no clue. But if your Milwaukee Bucks are in it, who are you rooting for? Are you happy if Chris Paul still wins a ring, even if it's at the expense of Giannis and the Bucks?
I am, because that Bucks team is still pretty young. Chris Paul's getting. I'm going to make this assumption that he's getting towards the end of his career. He hasn't slowed down yet, so he could very well play to 40.
Yeah, but how much time do you have left with Giannis in Milwaukee?
5 years at least, because he signed a Supermax.
Yeah, but I mean, come on now. This is the NBA. And if you don't want to be somewhere, all you got to do is say you don't want to be there.
But with the amount of money that he is owed with that Supermax, would have to be.
Who would not go get him with that Supermax? Come on now.
I get that, but it was going to cost them a ton.
There would be at least 25 teams that would be interested in going to get him with that Supermax, no matter what it cost them.
It would cost a lot of draft picks. Like the Bucks would look like the Thunder, plus the pieces that they would get to make the salary work.
Yeah.
It would gut another team. Like literally, that team would be gutted from most of their players.
So we got some stuff
are up against it.
Yeah, for sure. We got some people chiming in. Joey says he likes when we talk all sports. Michelle chimes in, says she likes anything about Baez and Gronk. Ay. Facebook user says I love debating sports. Period. Javier Gonzalez says James Jones is the reason Miami baby. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. And then John Hoffey chimes in and says, imagine if him and Kobe had played together and Stern didn't axe that trade, talking about Chris Paul.
Chris Paul to the Lakers, yeah.
Man, that would have been a nasty combo.
Like that.
You think they'd win more titles?
All but done.
Would they have won more titles?
I think so. But it's hard to judge sometimes with that, because look at like when the Lakers had Shaq and Kobe, and then they signed like Karl Malone and Gary Payton. Like they had a Nets like super team.
Yeah.
And they got bounced in like the second or third. I don't know if it was the second round or in the conference finals that they got bounced. But basically it was a bunch of superstars that went ring chasing and didn't win a ring.
Right. Yeah. Super teams don't always pan out. I mean, look at LeBron with the Miami Heat. I mean, granted they did get 2 rings out of that, but I mean, you look at that team, you look at that roster, they probably should have won, like they were talking in when they all signed together. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. They probably should have been a running freight train that nobody could stop. But for whatever reason, I think I don't know if it's egos. I don't know if it's just because the play styles don't mesh well together, or if they can't figure out who's supposed to be the scorer and who's supposed to be the facilitator. I'm not sure what it is, but those teams don't seem to pan out.
Well, and the big thing is when you're committing that much money to basically 3 guys. So one, like towards the end of it, Bosch was injured with that. Did he have blood clots? That he had to sit out. He missed
that
out,
ended
missed
up ending his career.
But the other, the part of it is trying to surround yourself, because at that point, everybody in your supporting cast is basically going to be a rookie or a veteran minimum salary, because you don't have the money to put any money towards anybody else. So it's trying to find the right pieces to fit and to mold into your team that are going to mesh with the rest of those superstars. And that, like last year, that's everybody thought the end all be all last year was like, we really needed a shooting guard because that's what we were missing. Then we signed Wesley Matthews, and then he was great for us, except he didn't fit. And we got bounced in the second round. So, this year they're like, well, we're going to hand it over to Dante DiVincenzo, and they're in the conference finals. Granted, he's hurt, tore his ankle up, but Pat Connaughton, and they're just kind of doing a rotation of players, and those guys have fit well. So it's as much of fitting those role players with your superstars as anything. And
our boy Buckheiser chimes in and says they won 2 out of 3. How did that not pan out? They won 2 out of 4, actually. LeBron was in Miami for 4 years, not 3. So yeah, they won 50% of the time they were there. But the way that they were talking, like I said, they should have been a running freight train that nobody could stop, and they just weren't. They weren't that team. So, all right, we're going to take our first break. When we get back, we are going to go ahead and get into some sports headlines. So stick right with us. We will be right back. And welcome back, man hour. It is time for everybody's favorite segment of the week, the infamous Way or No Way. Torry, are you ready for this? We've got a way or no way where A, we don't have to listen to Wyatt avoid the question and not answer a single one of them. And B, we don't have to listen to Buck's stuttering nonsense about something that's not even relevant to the question. So are you ready for this?
I am. This should actually be a coherent, fully sentenced, non-waffling segment.
All right. Well, let's get to it then. We talked just now about some basketball stuff. We talked about are the Phoenix Suns unstoppable? So I'm going to switch it up here just a little bit. I'm going to ask you this. The Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, your Milwaukee Bucks, will win multiple titles with Giannis.
Oh, I can't. This is going to come out of my mouth, and it's not going to go good. At least not for me being a Bucks fan. No, I think they win one title. Hopefully that's this year. I don't see that the way the Suns are playing, so potentially probably next year. The one thing that's different with the Bucks is Budenholzer has now finally figured out how to make in-game adjustments. That's always been his knock, like especially defensively, because I think it's going to be one title, just because he is limited the way he does stuff defensively, and we cannot defend the three. So what do the Hawks do well? They shoot the three. What do the Suns do really well? They shoot the three. Bucks do not know how to defend that, and they struggle against that. So I think they probably only win maybe one title, and they basically have to go up a team that's built like them. Otherwise, they have to run into a 3-point shooting team that goes cold for an entire series. So I don't think it happens. I really don't. I just think it's maybe one title, and that is it. And plus, just because that's the Milwaukee way. Otherwise, we're just going to get to multiple finals and never win one. The whole, you
Buffalo
try so hard
Bills
to be
of basketball.
proud. Right. Yeah. I just can't. I can't see it. It's like
Look,
like I've resigned myself to the fact that the Brewers will never win a World Series in my lifetime. So
I'm okay with that.
I'm sure that the Bucks are probably never going to win a title in my lifetime either.
I'm going no way as well. However, I'm going no way for it's not just because of their inability to defend the three or the fact that Giannis has some holes in his game. It's because the West is so damn good. The Western Conference is so damn good and so damn stacked that it is going to be hard for any Eastern Conference team to win multiple titles in the next 5 to 10 years. It just is. I mean, it's just that stacked right now. And could the tide turn? Sure. Could Milwaukee go out and just completely stack their team? Absolutely. But we just talked about how stacking your team doesn't always necessarily translate into titles. And, I see Javier in here, and we'll get to Javier's comment in just a second, because that's actually my next question as well. I think that the Bucks, I think they might win one. I don't know that they will even win one. But that's not just because they're going to be there every year. They're a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference every year for the next 5 years, period. But that Western Conference is just so damn good. And their competition in the East, the other 2 teams that they've got to worry about, which are the Atlanta Hawks and which are the Brooklyn Nets. And I mean, Boston's up and coming too. I think still,
with or without Simmons, I throw the Sixers still in there.
Yeah.
Embiid's a game changer. And he was banged up in this series.
Yeah, but they're not on the same level of the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets, or the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, the Philadelphia 76ers remind me of a team in the 90s, the Indiana Pacers. Where you had the Chicago Bulls and you had the New York Knicks that were just so good in the Eastern Conference, and Indiana was just always one of those teams that was good enough to get there, but then once they ran up against one of those teams always got smacked down. So I just don't see Philadelphia ever being there. But Milwaukee's going to be there. They might get themselves one. You might be happy, one season here or there. We'll see what happens tonight with them going up against Atlanta in Game 3. This is a big pivotal game right here, Game 3 of the series. So let's move on to the next one here, because Javier says, not if the Nets stay healthy. Nobody can beat that team if they are all playing together. So that brings me to my next question. The Nets will win a title with the Big 3.
Yes. but it would have to be next year. They have Spencer Dinwiddie that
Well, obviously it would have to be next year.
Yeah.
Can't be this year.
No. Like I know, but I'm saying like even beyond like the couple of years after that, it has to be next year for that team. Just because of the money implications and everything else for that team. You can't be that stacked. Egos will eventually get in the way, and somebody's going to say, I want more Jack. So for them, it's do or die for them next year. After that, I think you're going to have to look at breaking part of it up. So I don't really foresee anything past next year for them having to be a contender. There again, when super teams like that come together, eventually they have to be broken down into rebuild because financially teams just cannot keep doing it. Harden's not young, so Durant's what, 30?
Yeah. And his feet are like 74.
Kyrie's still young, but the big thing there is Harden is probably, well, yeah, Harden's I think the oldest one on there. I think he's 32. And
he can't stay healthy.
No. And I'm gonna agree somewhat here with Buck. I think Zion does end up in New York. And all of a sudden all of a sudden we are talking about the New York Knicks into this mix in about 2 years too as well.
That's the worst kept secret in NBA right now.
Right.
Zion ending up in New York in some way.
But there again, though, weirder things have happened because
you ever watch
like,
that guy talk about playing in New York? When he talks about playing in New York, his smile goes from ear to ear, and he can't contain himself. He wants to be in New York so badly. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and answer this, and I'm gonna say no way. The Nets do not win a title with this three for a number of reasons, but the biggest reason being why. They don't know who the leader of that team is. They don't know who the leader of that team is. Harden thinks it's his team. KD thinks it's his team. They do not know who the leader of the team is. They do not know who their premier scorer is. They don't know who's supposed to be their 2, who's supposed to be their 3. They just they don't do, and teams like that, they don't mesh well. And I don't think this team wins next year. And then just like you, I think if they don't split it up after next year, the following year after that, they're not going to win it that year either. And then they're going to have to split these guys up. This team, the Brooklyn Nets, are not winning an NBA title with this team that they currently have. They're just not.
Nope. It's because when you bring in talent like that, it's different. With the contract, it's different. With the bird rights, it all changes everything when they come in as a free agent or a trade. Like, there's so many moving parts to an NBA team. Now, like the Celtics, like if you ask me, like, will the Celtics win a title in the next 5 years? I would probably put money on that because it's a lot of that team is homegrown talent.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a couple other teams that are out there that you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns could be a juggernaut. They really could. This Phoenix Suns team could be a worldly team. And, granted the Lakers, if they go out and they do some stuff this offseason, which I fully expect them to do, if LeBron, is coming back again and again and again to keep playing basketball until he wins another title, the Los Angeles Lakers are going to be really good. You're going to look at teams like, the Miami Heat are even up and coming. That's another team that people don't talk a lot about, but people need to start paying attention to is the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics. So the Brooklyn Nets to me just aren't that team. So
no, it's a hard thing to say. It's just weird to me, like how the Lakers consistently can just tear it out. But there again, you got star power. Like, we're Los Angeles. They can tear down their team
right
and rebuild it within like 2 years because they're gonna draw in whoever. Like, oh, Shaq's gone. We'll decide Dwight Howard in his prime. Yeah. But there again, like you might go through the funks as well too, like the New York Knicks. Like, everyone's like, we're the New York Knicks. And how many years did nobody want to sign with the Knicks? Because that organization was run terribly.
Right.
So,
so the Suns, let's talk about the Suns. So I see Buckheiser in here says the Suns The the Suns is done after the season. CP3 wants $46 million. They can't afford that. Look, I don't know if that's the case, but even if CP3 does leave, they still have this guy, which leads me to my next question. Devin Booker will live up to the Kobe comparison.
No, absolutely no way. There again, we talked about this, and you were in the chat that night. I want Devin Booker to be Devin Booker. Don't be Kobe Bryant. Be you. You're not the same player as Kobe Bryant is. You can have the Mamba mentality, but you are not Kobe Bryant. You are a completely different player. And I am okay with that. Be your own player. That's why I hate when people compare them to other people. There again, you get these kids that are 18, 19 years old coming into the league, and they're like, this guy's the next Jordan. And this kid has been told that since the day he picked up a basketball and could start shooting that. And that's what that kid
So let me
believes.
rephrase the question for you, Torry.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase the question for you then. We talk about, these generational players. There's never going to be another Michael Jordan. There's never going to be another Kobe Bryant. There's probably never going to be another LeBron James. In 5 to 10, 15 years, are we going to be telling people that there's never going to be another Devin Booker?
Yes. I thoroughly believe that we will be having that conversation at that point because he is that good. 100%. I believe that with all my
So you
heart.
think that once LeBron is gone, because let's just face it, until LeBron leaves, LeBron's the best player in the NBA, right? I mean, that's how good LeBron. As much as we don't like, and I don't like LeBron James on the court, I like him off the court. I don't like LeBron James on the court. But let's just be real. LeBron James is the best basketball player, and he's just that guy who's going to be the best basketball player until he retires. So do you think that Devin Booker is going to be the best basketball player on the court for the next 10 to 15 years?
Yes, I think he kind of takes over the mantle. He kind of becomes that face of the NBA. And that's where this is really good for them to make this run. As young as this team was, as downtrodden as the Phoenix Suns franchise has been over the last umpteen years. It's been a long time since they've played winning basketball. And I think, yes, he becomes that face. It's great for that franchise. That we might be having a different conversation in 2 years. They're like, Devin Booker needs to get out of Phoenix and go to New York and team up with Zion, or he needs to go to the Lakers and team up with AD now that LeBron's retired, something like that. You're going to hear you hear it all the time. How many teams saved a bunch of cap room so they could sign Giannis this summer, and then he signed Supermax? So that's the one thing that'll be interesting this summer too, as well, with everything, is these teams that saved all this money to sign Giannis or throw it at him still have a ton of cap room to go after a bunch of other players.
Yeah, my Bulls being one of them.
Right. So I think he becomes the face of the NBA. He kind of takes over that mantle. There's going to end up being that pressure though for him to leave Phoenix to go to a big market. So
I was just going to ask that. Do you think he stays in Phoenix?
I'm a guy on loyalty. Like, I am big. That's like one of the few things in life that I am morally correct about. But I am big on loyalty. Like, I have always been, and I've always done that with everything. So, like for me, Giannis re-signing with Milwaukee, that was huge. Like, I thought it was really crappy the way KD did, like, Oklahoma to literally go chase rings. Like, to me, that taints your legacy a little bit when you go do it. Now, I mean, this is a completely different story, and all bets are off. Say the Suns win it and Devin Booker wins the NBA Finals MVP this year, all bets are off. I bet he bolts out of Phoenix as soon as he can, because he can go chase. He can go chase bigger money. He can go chase bigger marketing deals, everything else. So it's a different story, because guess what? He did what Phoenix brought him there to do. And he will go and end up on a super team at that point. Look how quick LeBron jetted out of Cleveland again after the second time after he won a title for them. You know, his big thing, he basically said he went back to Cleveland to finish what he started. And that he did that, and then he turned around and left.
Could you imagine if Devin Booker wins a title this year and then 2 years from now is playing in LA?
I could see
with
it.
LeBron James and with AD. I mean, LeBron at the end of his career, AD get LeBron one more ring, AD gets a ring. Like, God,
I could see it because I mean they're already talking about trying to recruit Steph Curry to the Lakers.
I know. I don't see it. I don't see Steph leaving Golden. Steph is Golden State.
Right.
Do you see Steph leaving Golden State?
The only reason I say yes to this question is because him and LeBron are so tight. They're like best friends. So
yeah, but
I could see that and be like, hey, dude, let's just team up and let's just run it back one time.
I see Steph, and that's what I love about Steph is I see Steph as that guy who wants to beat those teams and who has the talent to lead teams that can beat those teams. And so I'd be so disappointed if Steph left to go to LA.
And there again, we could end up with a Steph Curry situation in Phoenix as well. 15 years ago, who the hell cared about the Golden State Warriors besides nobody? Because it was a franchise that never did anything except screw up. At one point they had, Run TMC. They had Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullins, and they broke that up. They had a really good thing. It seems like every time they would get something really good going, they'd break it up. But then all of a sudden Steph came, and then Clay came, and then Draymond came, and everything started falling into place for them as a franchise.
Who else does that
and now
really
everybody's
well?
like, hey, look, we're Golden State. Now people care about us.
Yeah. You know who else does that really well in the NBA?
Boston.
The Denver Nuggets.
I will agree with that as well.
The Denver Nuggets do that a lot. I mean, they've had some really good teams in Denver, and then just all of a sudden you're like, hey, where'd those guys go? And they're all out of Denver.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay. All right, guys.
That's another franchise I would love to see win a title just because they've been so close.
Denver?
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, Denver's like LA. I never want to see that fan base win anything. I just don't
maybe the Bronco. I don't like the Bronco fan or the Avalanche. So
it killed me last year to watch the Dodgers win a World Series just because that LA fan base just doesn't deserve a champion.
Quick story before we move on quick. So when we were on our way to Hawaii, this was for work. This wasn't for pleasure. We were on our way to Hawaii. Was the weekend, or no, we were on our way back from Hawaii. It was the weekend that the Packers and the Broncos played, and we had to fly back through Denver. And so our whole plane was either green and gold or Bronco colors. The whole plane. It was freaking hilarious. And it was just like, it was jaw-jacking. It's a 4-hour flight. It was jaw-jacking between the entire plane. It was great.
Yeah. The reason, I don't like fan bases like that. It's almost the reason why I don't want to see the Suns win it this year is because of that Suns in 4 guy. All of a sudden, he's like super famous, and everybody because he kicked the crap out of some dude who was drunk and threw a beer at him and then beat up him while his friend had to watch. But all of a sudden now, you look at a game, you're watching the Suns on TV, and people are taking pictures with this clown.
Yeah.
For that reason alone, I just don't want the Suns to win now. It's not because I don't like Devin Booker. It's not because I don't like. It's because of the fan base. It's because of the fans. The fans are stupid.
Well, somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I recognize you from Manower, man. Can I get your picture with you?" Yeah, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen because nobody would do that except for maybe Drew. Drew might ask to have a picture with us.
Javier loves us.
Javier, right. We're gonna have to send you autographed photos.
we're gonna get to another break, and when we come back, we are gonna get into some sports headlines. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. One subject in particular, I kind of can't wait to talk to you about, Torry. We'll be back. Give us 2.5 minutes. And welcome back to the Man Hour. It's your boy Brandon Combs, along with Torry Anderson. Torry, look, I don't know what's going on with Buck,
I don't either.
but he's eating out of sporks and stuff, and having weird experiences at band camp. I don't know what's going on, but Buck is having some fun here in the chat line. But anyway, let's get to some sports headlines here, man. One of the things I want to talk about. So, did you watch the video I sent you? The Trevor Bauer video I sent last night on the chat.
No, because I was exhausted.
So Trevor Bauer has a video blog that he does now, and he always says that he owes it to Ken Rosenthal for his horrible reporting. So he does his vlog because Ken Rosenthal reported something about Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer wanted to set the record straight to the fans themselves, so he started a video blog. But in this video blog, he was talking about baseball's new rule where they're checking pitchers and this and that. And in this video blog, he's like, I want to show you guys something. He runs his hand through his hair, puts some water on his hands, and then hits it with the rosin bag. Okay? Then he puts a ball in the palm of his hand and holds it straight out like this, and the ball sticks in the palm of his hand. He goes, so what I want to know is how baseball umpires are supposed to determine between the fact whether or not I'm using rosin and running my hand through my sweaty hair, or if I'm using sticky stuff on my hands. Did you know that rosin was that tacky?
It makes sense though, because it's, you get a little bit wet, it becomes like a sticky substance. I would have never thought of it that way, like the way he did it, but it makes 100% sense. Like,
well, that leads me to what I really want to get to, because this vlog changed my entire stance on how I felt about baseball cracking down on these guys using sticky substances.
And now you're a huge Trevor Bauer fan?
I like Trevor Bauer as a person. I just don't think he's the best pitcher in baseball. I think he's overrated as a pitcher. But I like him as a person. I think he's hilarious. I follow him on Twitter. I listen to the stuff that he talks about because he's a very smart guy and he's very funny. But this changed my whole stance, because if rosin is this tacky and all you're doing is adding water to your hands, running it through your head, your sweaty head, and if rosin is this tacky, there's no need to use anything else. There's no need to put anything else on your hand. If rosin gives you that much tackiness, there should be no reason while you're using tack, while you're using sunscreen, while you're using anything, pine tar, nothing else should be used, because rosin, if it does that, is all that you need. So I have now, all of a sudden, I went from, God, baseball is so stupid, they're just trying to crack down on these players and blame themselves. There is no reason for pitchers to use anything else. There's just not.
So what do you think happened today then?
I don't know, man. So,
because he was laughing like, seriously?
Yeah. And you're talking about the guy from Seattle, right?
Yeah, the guy from Seattle.
So for those of you who don't know, the White Sox were playing the Seattle Mariners, and at the end of one of the innings, their relief pitcher got checked, and all of a sudden, they took his hat, they took his glove, they put him in plastic baggies. Plastic baggies, and are sending them to the league office now, and ejected the pitcher.
So if I read this rule right, it's an automatic 10-game suspension if you get ejected. Automatic.
And not only is it a 10-game suspension, but your team can't fill your spot on the roster.
Scott Service was really heated after they started taking his stuff.
Oh, yeah. He was not happy at all.
I would have loved to hear the audio from that. I'm sure they would have had to bleep like 90%.
There's lots of times I would love to hear audio. But I just, I feel like now, baseball has every right to crack down on the pitchers. It has every right to. Because Trevor Bauer just showed to everybody that rosin is all that you need. And it's allowed. It's legal. They have a rosin bag on the back of the mound.
Yep.
Run your hand through your sweaty head a couple of times and put some rosin on your fingers. There's no need for anything else. And if baseball pitchers can't do that, I don't feel bad for them at all anymore. It completely changed my view watching this vlog. You'll have to check it out after the show.
Yeah,
I want you to check out that vlog.
We're gonna have to look at it.
But yeah, it completely changed my mind. But let's get something here that I am really interested to, and I really hope that you haven't already heard this. But did you hear the NFL is allowing players to opt out again from the 2020 season if they have underlying conditions, and if they have a fear if they've either tested positive for COVID at any point, or if they have any underlying conditions, they can opt out with pay for the 2021 season. But you can't change your mind. You have until July 1st. If you decide by July 1st that you want to opt out, that's fine, but you can't just decide, in middle of October, I want to come back and play now. You're done for the season.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron Rodgers has an underlying condition. And Aaron Rodgers can opt out of the 2021 season and get all $18.3 million that is owed to him. With an organization that has played slap fight with the man since they heard that he wanted out. They went out, they drafted more defense in the first round. They've talked about how much they love Jordan Love. If you're Aaron Rodgers, are you taking your money and say, hey, you know what? I know how much you love Jordan Love. I know how good he's looking right now. I know how much you guys like him right now. That's fine. I'll stay home this year. Pay me, and I'm going to sit home and see how good Jordan Love does.
See, I would have to see, because in 2020 when you sat out, you only got a portion of your salary. You didn't get the whole thing.
This one is he would have all $18.3 million paid to him.
So this must, because there was an article that popped up, and I didn't get to read it on Friday, that said Aaron Rodgers may have just been given the advantage in standoff with Green Bay.
Yep. This would be it.
So
does Aaron Rodgers play for the Green Bay Packers this year?
Yes. They're getting.
Why? Why would he play?
It's June 27th. They have till July 1st.
I know.
There has been zero rumblings about it. Nobody's talked about it. It's not except for the media. The thing is the one thing that Aaron does really, really well is troll the media. He does it better than anybody else. And he's one of those that always keeps his cards close to his chest, stuff like that. The thing is I only pay attention to the people that are closest to him. If AJ Hawk says something, I'm going to listen. If James Jones says something, I'm probably going to listen, because these are people that he has relationships with outside of any kind of football realm. These are some of his best friends. Now, if Jordy came out too and said, yeah, I think he's done, I would put stock into that, because they're really good friends. So I think this, at this point, that's more of a media driven thing, because it's a story. And where are we right now in the sports year? We are at outside of the NBA, playoffs going, and we're in the midst of baseball. We're kind of in that summer doldrum of sports news. At this point, you're trying to go after anything. Is it a good point? 100%. It is a good point. I just don't think it's a realistic point.
So I think, and look, people are going to say, oh, well, you're a Chicago fan. Of course you think this, blah, blah, blah. I think that the feud between Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers is deeper than we even know that it is. There is something there. There is a reason why Aaron Rodgers has not come out and talked about this, other than the one interview that he did with Kenny Mayne. And at that point, it didn't even sound to me like he really, it sounded to me like he had a real grievance with the front office of the Green Bay Packers. And I think it's a little bit deeper than we know what it is. I think that Aaron Rodgers takes his ball and he goes home. And you're going to have to pay him to do it. I think it's the ultimate slap in the face to the Green Bay Packers. I think it's something Aaron Rodgers would absolutely love to do and stick it to the Green Bay Packers organization because of the way that they've treated him throughout his entire career. I think that Aaron Rodgers on July 1st is going to say, I'm opting out of the 2021 season, and he will not play football this year. And he's going to get paid to not play football and to go host Jeopardy. This guy is not playing for the Green Bay Packers. And this isn't me not wanting to see him play for the Green Bay Packers, because I'll be completely honest with you. Whether or not Aaron Rodgers plays for the Green Bay Packers this year has no bearing on the Bears season. No bearing on the Bears season whatsoever. They're not going to the playoffs anyway. They're going to be a 7-win team at most. That's what this team is. They're a rebuilding team that has some really talented players on their roster. But Aaron Rodgers, I just feel there's just something about it. There's a reason why he hasn't come out and talked about this. There's a reason why he isn't coming out and saying, this is nonsense, I'll be back, I'll be in Green Bay. He hasn't shown up for OTAs, hasn't shown up for training camp, hasn't shown up for nothing. So I have a feeling that come July 1st, and it's going to be a big story July 4th weekend. I mean, July 1st, you're going to have all July 4th weekend to talk about it, and it's going to be Aaron Rodgers is opting out of the 2021 season.
Right. Well, he's got till Thursday to do it. I don't see it because and I'll tell you the reason why, is because he is still a team guy. He never wants to let his teammates down. The one thing, like, he hasn't said that. He never says anything. He's never been that guy that just talks and stuff like that. Even like when you watch him on Pat McAfee, he says stuff, but he doesn't say a lot. And it's not like it's a ton of it is football related. Like, they talk about everything from his personal life to like the game the week before. Like McAfee will try to goad him into saying stuff, and he won't take. He'll be like, come on, Pat, you know you can't do that.
I'm telling you, and I get it. I mean, we're both on two opposite sides of the spectrum. You're really, really hoping that Aaron Rodgers is in a Green Bay Packers uniform. I'm really, really hoping he's not. So I think that is both of us. You know, we're both on opposite sides of the spectrum. I just looking at it from an outside perspective and listening to both sides of the fence, as I've listened to, you know, people who are close to Aaron talk.
You can throw Wyatt's opinions out on this.
Yeah,
that's just fan talk.
But see, I listen to a lot of sports talk radio. That's all I really listen to. And I've listened to guys who know this game. I have listened to guys who know Aaron Rodgers. I listen to guys who understand the way the business ends of this works. And all of them believe the same thing, that Aaron Rodgers is not playing another down for the Green Bay Packers. So I don't know, man. There's just something to it. I just feel like one way or another, Aaron Rodgers is going to stick it to Green Bay, and this might be his way to do that.
I just can't see it.
I know.
But my thing is, and I'm just going off of how he is personally. Like, it's like he never likes to let the community down. Doesn't like to let the fans down. Does not like to let his teammates down. Stuff like that. I think morally, like, he's making his stand and letting it be known, not happy. But when it comes to it, he's going to be in the trenches when the bullets start flying, when training camp starts. I 100% believe he will be there. So I don't see it, just because he is a competitor. Like, for as laid back as he is, he's one of the most competitive people out there too. And he does want to win, and he wants to be with his teammates to win. And that's where I'm kind of saying that, like, no, I just don't see it, just because of his personality and how he has done things.
Yeah, I mean, look, only time's going to be able to tell. You know, and
100%.
We'll know by Thursday. We'll know by the end of the week whether or not this is an actual story or whether or not it's not. So, I guess we'll see. Speaking of stories, Trey Mancini, who, you know, had last season off, was battling cancer, came back this year. He's been a great story for the Baltimore Orioles. Has announced that he is going to be playing in the Home Run Derby. Okay. And I know, Torry, you, as somebody who has battled cancer and beat cancer themselves, this is something that I'm sure is near and dear to your heart. This is something that you're going to be probably pulling for Trey Mancini in this thing. I know I'm going to be pulling for him. I mean, look, it's a great story. This guy has been through hell and back and beat one of the worst diseases out there and is now playing professional baseball again, doing the things that he loves to do, and now is going to be in a home run derby. But that's not my question here. My question is, how long is it going to take for ESPN to kill this story? ESPN is going to abuse this story heading into the home run derby.
100%, because it's a major storyline for it. We will be tired of hearing about it by next week, because it will be something to talk about every other day.
It almost feels to me like they went and said, "Hey Trey, can we really get you? I mean, we could really use something to push, and this would be a great push for the home run derby to get a lot of viewers in, just backing you and hoping."
If he wins it, I'm calling rigged.
If he wins it, you're calling rigged, huh?
The thing is that would be the most amazing storyline ever, especially with the whole like MLB stand up to cancer thing, him going through cancer, beating cancer, getting to that would be the storybook. That baseball could not ask for something better than Trey Mancini to go out and dominate in the home run derby.
Yeah, again, this guy has come from hell and back to get into back into where he wants to be. And I'm extremely happy for him. I can't wait to see what he's got. And again, I think, you've got guys like, who's going to enter this thing? Is it going to be, I don't know how many people they've entered just yet. I'm actually looking it up right now. But I know Trey Mancini is going to be in it. I know Vlad Guerrero Jr., I believe, is going to be in it. I know they were talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. being in it. So is this going to possibly be the greatest home run derby of all time?
No. Because I'm going to go back to steroid era. That, to me, with all them guys juiced up, jacking the balls on All-Star, because they're again, but it goes back to baseball was okay when they were doing it all then, because they made billions off of it. I would say that was probably the best, because then you had your Mark McGuire's, you had your Sammy Sosa's, you had your Barry Bonds, all that stuff. You had these marquee names that were just mashing. And the format, as you know, the format was different then. It wasn't like it is now. Before it was, you get 10 outs to just basically crush as many baseballs as you can. So, and now it's what? They go head to head.
They go round by round. Yeah, it's head to head.
It's like a tournament. It's tournament style. So if one guy hits 11 home runs, you just got to hit 12, and you're moving on. And I kind of get it, just because there is injury risk when you're just swinging and mashing, and a lot of those guys would mess their swings up for about 2 weeks after the All-Star break, because they were just used to just swinging at meatballs. So I kind of get it, but I think back then when because didn't McGuire hit 42 of them or some crap like that in the home run derby? It was some ridiculous number, just crushed. To me, that was better than this. Oh yeah, he won the home run derby. No, I like the old school version better.
Yeah, so you've got, so I'm looking at it right now. You got Vlad Guerrero Jr., you got Jesse Winker, you've got Shohei Ohtani, which is going to be fun. Pete Alonso is going to defend the crown, and now Trey Mancini is in it as well. They still haven't announced the last three, but that right there is going to be a show in itself. Shohei Ohtani in this home run derby is going to be fun to watch. He might be one next to Trey Mancini. He might be a fan favorite.
I would agree. They need to fill that. They got to get Tatis in there. He would be good. As much as I hate the guy, put Harper in there if he would do it. He probably won't, though.
I love Bryce Harper in home run derby contests.
The thing is because he talks.
He's another overrated
player.
He
talks smack so bad. Him and Tatis jawing at each other would be entertainment in itself.
Yeah.
So I think get some of the as much as I hate egos and stuff like that, sometimes it's fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And look, there are a couple guys I would love to see take part in one of these home run derbies. Kyle Schwarber would be fun to watch again. He did it a couple of years ago for the Cubs, but watching him in the home run derby would be fun to watch. That guy smashed 5 home runs in 2 games last weekend, batting leadoff for the Washington Nationals. It was ridiculous. Yeah. And so I would love to see it. I think Trey Mancini is going to be a great story. I just think ESPN is going to absolutely, just force feed you this story, and they don't even need to. They don't even need to. If they would just take it lightly and just maybe do one piece here to promote the home run derby, and then do another piece during the home run derby, it would be perfect. But instead, you're going to see a piece tonight. You're going to see a piece on ESPN 1, 2, 3, the Ocho, ESPN Deportes. You're going to see
the whole thing though.
Every ESPN.
So far, every player in there has their storyline. Ohtani coming back from Tommy John, still pitching, still hitting. You have Trey Mancini back from cancer. Vlad Guerrero is basically turning into his dad, who was one of the best outfielders of his generation. Pete Alonso defending his crown. Like, they have the backstories to literally and do what ESPN does, and that's beat the stories into the ground. You are so tired of hearing about it. By the time it happens, you're like, ugh. At least it's done. It's almost anticlimactic when it actually starts.
Absolutely. So we're going to take another quick break. We're going to get into some more headlines here when we get back. Wyatt was, not on the show tonight. He's helping his aunt and uncle move into their house. We were going to do Liar Liar, but instead we're going to go ahead and move up some more headlines, some more sports talk. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
manhourradio.com.
All right. I caught that one a little bit. Buck, look, Buck, if you're still listening, man, it's the video that's labeled break number 4. We've got to do something about that because there's it sits there for I think the other day I was sitting on it for 20 seconds and it still hadn't come through. Got to click the button. But I remembered after I pushed it, I was like, oh, yeah, I got to push the button on this one. So
push the button.
Push the button. We don't need no stinking button. Anyway, so we've been talking a little bit about the home run derby. So let's continue that. We talked about Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr. And right now they're actually tied for the home run lead in the league. Are they better than their dads?
I think Fernando Tatis already is. His dad was just kind of a journeyman who wasn't a terrible player by any means.
Right.
His best years were in St. Louis, But he was kind of a journeyman player. Vlad's obviously got way bigger shoes to step into to say he's better than his dad. Because there again, if you would ask me about like that generation of player, Vlad's probably one of the top 5 players of his generation. You know, Vlad could hit, Vlad could steal bases, Vlad could hit for power, and Vlad could play defense. So, like, he was
Jr.
a 5
has the same amount of home runs as Vlad Sr. in the same amount of games so far in his career.
Right, but look at batting averages. I don't think batting average wise they're close. Vlad Sr. was a consistent above 300 hitter.
I don't know what the bet. I didn't even look that one up. I saw the stat the other day that Vladdy had hit his 50th home run. It was in the same amount of games that his dad had hit. So I mean, he's not a bad. I mean, right now he's batting .339.
Oh, is he? So there again, maybe because I know last year he kind of struggled at the plate a little bit, but I think COVID year most people struggled at the plate.
Yeah, he's batting .339 with 26 home runs, 92 hits and 271 at bats, 64 RBIs, 61 runs scored. 443 OBP, a 683 slugging, and a 1.125 OPS. Yeah,
I mean, there again, he's turning into pops right there. No, he keeps that up, he will probably surpass his father. So right now, I don't think you can say, but Tatis already at this point in his career, just because of his pure star power and his potential that he's already realized, I think he's already passed his dad.
And I think he's going to have an advantage because he's playing in the American League where he can be a DH, whereas, Vlad Jr. played a lot of his prime with the Montreal Expos in the National League where there was no DH, so he was playing the outfield as well. I love all. I mean, there's a lot of. You look at Kevin Biggio. You look at there's a lot of players right now whose dads we watched growing up, which kind of makes me feel really, really old. When you start to think about
Mondesi,
Bichette.
Bichette. It's funny because the Blue Jays are going through like what the Brewers did, like where the Brewers are drafting all these ex-MLB players. Like they had EY Jr., they had Prince, they had like all these ex-players, kids, and now the Blue Jays are going through the exact same thing. So it's kind of fun to watch because it's almost nostalgic, I think, to watch the kids play too, because it still brings back memories of like their dads and stuff like oh, remember when their dad did this, this, and this. I'm sure they're tired of hearing everything about that because they're like,
it's been fun to watch for sure. It's been a lot of fun to watch. You watch, these guys, and we know, like, I watched Vlad. Vlad Sr. was the best bad ball hitter I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
that guy would take a ball out of the dirt. He would swing at pitches that Javier Baez swings at now, but actually make contact with them. Like, that
guy would hit home runs, balls that are about 1 inch out of the dirt, and then about a foot out of the strike zone. He would golf it out of there. Like, Punk, see ya.
Yeah, he was absolutely
reach over
insane.
the plate. Yeah,
and he'd reach even balls that were at his eyeballs. I remember watching this guy take tomahawk chops at balls and knocking them 385 feet. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I love watching, their sons playing now and watching, how they've developed and how much better. Like, they're just, this generation of players just more talented than that generation was. They just are.
It's natural evolution, like, the nutrition facts of it, the trainers and stuff like that. Like, like they talk about, like, in the 80s, like, guys just lighting up a cigarette in the clubhouse and smoking and drinking and doing whatever, like, before a game. Like, like playing like it's a rec league. And, now these guys are all everybody kind of takes care of their body a little bit more, They're, everybody does like yoga. Their flexibility is probably 1,000 times better. Like the other guys were like, "Yep, I'm good to go. I can move my arm. Just hold on. Let me crunch up this Vicodin and I'll just eat that."
You just reminded me of that kid from the Cam Newton commercial.
Just warming up my arm. As I do that, and all I hear is crack, 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 crunch in my arm.
Well, was the meme I saw on that one? It said, when Cam Newton realizes that Mac Jones is the kid from the commercial after they drafted him. Just warming up my arm. But so another thing, there's a lot of things going on in baseball. Do you think that the NL Central is going to come down to be the best race in baseball? We talked about how bad of a division it was going to be, but I think that this 2-team race between the Cubs and the Brewers is going to be epic down the stretch.
I will agree. And the part of it is because you're a Cubs fan and I'm a Brewers fan, and like we both love to see it because we love to hate on each other. But the Cardinals, like the one thing is shocking because we all thought this would be a 3-team race, and the Cardinals have quickly fell out of it. But
I thought it was going to be a 2-team race the whole way.
I'm going to give you credit because you said that you've kind of thought the Cardinals were going to be who they are right now. You had called it. But the other part of that is, do you know what? That the Brewers, the Mets, and the White Sox, if they played in the NL West, they'd be in 4th place.
I know.
That is ridiculous.
And we look at the Brewers and the Cubs right now, and it looks like it's going to be the way the Cubs are going tonight on Sunday Night Baseball, getting their butts whooped by Kershaw and the Dodgers. It looks like the Cubs are going to walk into this series starting tomorrow with Milwaukee, trailing by 3 games, and people are going to, me especially, I'm thinking, God, they're coming off getting their butts whooped against LA, traveling from LA to Milwaukee, no day off.
Yeah,
and
that's going to be rough. If they drop tomorrow, it wouldn't be shocked. Just because of going from West Coast back to here, you're taking a late night flight home.
Yeah.
They're not going to get that great of a night's sleep. So if they would drop tomorrow, it wouldn't shock me. But with this division, like you said, though, it's good. That's fun because there's that 3 games that separate it. So it adds just a little bit extra to this series.
So now it makes that it makes that first game, it makes tomorrow's game so much more important for the Cubs because you don't want to fall 4 games out of the division.
Right.
You want to start crawling back into this. Now, we say, it's going to be so tough, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs come out and sweep it. And make this an even
Settle
series
down,
by
Buck.
the end of the season, just because of the what? Settle down, Buck.
I said settle down, Buck, making weird statements.
No, I'm just saying that it's one of those. This is one of those divisions where the improbable is probably going to end up happening. Usually, this is going to be one of those divisions where yes, the Brewers should run away with it right here, starting this week. But for some reason, somehow, the Cubs are going to go in, do something crazy, and this is going to be a 1-game division all the way down the stretch. It's going to be back and forth. This team takes over, that team takes over. I don't think either one of these teams are going to run away with it.
I'm going to say the Brewers take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, and by the end of July, the Cubs are in 1st place.
Okay.
Because again, it seems like every month these 2 teams are switching off division leads. So July is the Cubs' turn to take over the division lead.
Yeah. And that wouldn't shock me at all. Now let's get to some divisions that aren't the NL Central. You've got the San Francisco Giants and the Houston Astros have the 2 best records in Major League Baseball. And I don't know about you, but I didn't see either one of those coming. and we're heading into July. We're heading into the All-Star break. So there's always those teams, and we talk about this every year before the season starts. There's always those teams that come out hot, come out firing, and you think that they are that damn good, and then all of a sudden they just disappear. Are the Houston Astros contenders or pretenders?
I'd say at this point, contenders, because that NL West or the AL West is still a stacked division, almost top to bottom, with the exception of the Rangers. The Rangers are terrible, but the A's are good. The Angels are kind of just hovering around 500. I just don't know. Without Trout, they just really have no direction. And I think they're just literally treading water, hoping he comes back earlier. So
yeah, I think so too.
They've got Otani. They've got what's his face, Rendon. So they've got players like it's actually a really good division. So I'm going to say contenders just because they're in division games are rough. The AL is kind of rough, except for the Central is not as good as we thought it was going to be. But the rest of the divisions are.
I'm with you on the Astros. I think the Astros are contenders. I think that this team, as much as I hate to admit it, because I mean everybody knows how I feel about the Astros in 2017.
Everybody feels that way though. We all are like, screw them.
I just think that they're finding a way to win. They're finding ways to put it together. Even though Altuve isn't still, the old Altuve, he's not hitting the same as he was, probably because he doesn't know what pitch is coming anymore. I feel like this team is just one of those teams that's always going to find a way to win. And they're always in the games, and when they're in the games, they've got a chance to win it. Now, the San Francisco Giants, contenders or pretenders?
At this point, again, I have to call them contenders. I thought this was a team, and I called it before the season. I said, this is going to be a team that I thought would be right around 500. I said, this is going to be a scrappy team. This is going to be a tough-out team. This is going to be a team that wins games that they're not supposed to. However, we are going into July, and they still have a 4.5 game lead over the Dodgers still at this point. At this point, we have to call them a contender because if you're a pretender, you're not on this kind of streak. You are not taking a 4.5 game lead in, potentially going into July against the best division in baseball.
Yeah.
So contenders.
I'm going with pretender. Look, I think at some point, I don't think DeScalfini is going to be able to pitch the way that he's been pitching now. I don't think Gossman can hold up. I know Alex Wood can't hold up. I feel like at some point they're going to wake up and realize that they are the San Francisco Giants, that the division that they are in has the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres in it. And I think that those two teams end up running away with this race. I think that the Giants end up finishing third. I think they end up finishing probably about 8 or 9 games back in the division. Are they a little bit better than what I had given them credit for? Sure, because I think I had them at something like 76 or 77 wins this year. I didn't have them winning 80, 82, but they're going to be an above 500 team this year. But they're just not as good as the Dodgers, and they're not as good as the Padres, and they're not even as good as they've been playing. They've just been playing really well.
Does the West put 3 teams in the playoffs still, though?
God, that's a tough one. I don't think so because I think that, well, man, yeah, I guess they do. Maybe the Giants do still sneak into the playoffs.
Would be wild. So say
be a crazy tough wild card team.
Say it shakes out the way it shakes out, and you have your wild card play-in game as the Padres versus the Giants.
Yeah.
Would be nuts.
And then the Giants, or can you imagine the Padres, or what if it's the Dodgers? Whichever one doesn't win the division ends up losing to the Giants, or ends up, and now all of a sudden these 3 teams that have battled it all year. That's why I don't like the fact that you have the play-in game, but you have the play-in game when, it's 2 division opponents. I don't like when division opponents have to play each other right off the bat because they know each other so well already. They beat the crap out of each other all year, and they both made it. Like, I feel like you should go by record and not division winner. I've always felt that way. I felt that way. I mean, and that's something that they used to do. They used to do National League, American League, and the top 3 in the National League, and top 4 in the National League and top 4 in the American League would battle out to see who went to the World Series.
Yep.
And I don't like the fact that a team who wins a division at 82 wins because they took advantage of a weak division, I don't like the fact that they get into playoffs and they don't have to play a play-in game, but a team that wins 97 games and didn't win their division because they played in a ridiculously tough division that they played very well in, by the way, has to play in a play-in game and then ends up getting beat. It always happens. They end up getting beat. The better team always ends up getting beat. So one game playoff and somebody pulls something stupid off.
No, because the Brewers made it in last year and they got promptly annihilated.
Yeah, I mean the Cubs did too. The Cubs made it in and played against the Miami Marlins, and the Marlins, swept them right out of the playoffs. It wasn't even a close series.
Yeah.
So
the Brewers should have never been there. Like that was just stupid. That
they were under 500 too, right?
Yeah, they were They were 29-31.
Yeah,
and they made the freaking playoffs. I said that's a joke. That's just
last year was the. I don't know. You kind of chalked that up to 2020.
Yeah.
It was.
It's like I've said. Like years from now, we're gonna be like, man, stop being so 2020, and we're just gonna use the term 2020 to replace the term of crazy. Man, you are so 2020 right now. It's not even funny.
That's the truth. And Javier chimes in. Javier says, "Marlins are still young. They will do better." I think the Marlins are young. I think that their players will do better, but I think their players will do better when they're in different uniforms because the Marlins don't keep their players. I mean, I'm sorry, Javier. I know you're a Miami guy. I know that you love your Miami teams, but the Marlins have just always been that organization that develops great talent and then watches it walk away.
They just sign every free agent under the sun, win a World Series, and dismantle it.
And then dismantle it then too. It's just it's sad to see. It was sad to see. I mean, I remember 2003. The Cubs were on their way to the World Series. Marlins come back and win that series, and then go to the World Series and end up beating the New York Yankees. So I feel bad for Marlins fans, but it's just the reality of the situation. The Marlins don't keep their good talent. They just don't.
And for whatever reason, baseball just does not do well in South Beach. Like I don't really get. But there again, I kind of
does anything really do well in South Beach though? I mean, because
the Heat draw, the Dolphins draw.
Yeah, but not yeah. Do the Dolphins draw? Like, I think the Dolphins draw. I think that when you go to a Dolphins game, it's always half and half. Half Dolphins fans, half of whatever visiting team is, because Miami's a spot to go on vacation. I just think that there are better things to do in South Beach. People, it's the same reason why L.A. Right. The Dodgers don't draw. You watch a Dodgers game, and all of a sudden, you're like, wow, nobody's there. And then in the third inning, the stadium's packed. And then in the eighth inning, you're like, wow, nobody's there. It's like,
you brought up the exact point I was going to just talk about too, is when you get major markets like that, if there's something else to do, people are going to go do it. And Jim Rome years ago had said that. He said, nobody cares about LA sports if the LA team isn't good. And I think the thing is almost the same with Miami. Nobody cares unless you're good. So he's like, there's a pressure to be a winner at all times in order to make it in your city. And the Heat have kind of figured that out. They've been, obviously they've been blessed when they had LeBron and they had Wade and they had Bosh, and before that they had Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal. They've had a good 25-year run. The Dolphins have just been there forever. And once they got out of Raymond James Stadium, they started to draw a ton better too, because Raymond James was basically falling over at that point.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the Marlins just have never. It's the same thing, almost kind of like the Rays. The Rays have been one of the better teams in baseball in the last 4 or 5 years, and they still don't draw great for a fan base.
Right.
So I don't get it. Is there really just that much more to do that your fan base doesn't care?
So this just came out just now. Seattle Mariners Hector Santiago, first player to be ejected amid MLB's crackdown, claims all I used was rosin. So we go back to this. We go back to that vlog that that Trevor Bauer put out, it's very possible all this guy used was rosin.
No.
So I think my question would be is now all of a sudden it's in the glove. I mean, because they took the glove, they took the hat. Like, was it on his hand? Where was it at? Was it but even still, I mean, rosin's legal. So if all that it is rosin, and rosin is that tacky, how does MLB determine the difference? How do they expect the umpires in the heat of the moment to determine the difference? These umpires aren't trained to determine, whether or not it's rosin or whether or not it's super glue or whether or not it's, something else, whatever the case is. They're not paid to determine the difference. All they're looking for is, are they using a sticky substance? And if it's rosin, how does baseball differentiate between that?
Yeah, they're going to have to come up with like a little swab test to be able to test it. If it turns this color, it's rosin, just rosin. Like I will probably put money on that's what they go to.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing to me is silly. I feel like, even the testing itself, to test a guy after the inning, to me makes no sense. I know they're testing closers as they come into the game. They're checking them as they come in. But the rest of the relievers, if I'm down by 1 run in the 8th inning and a reliever comes in and holds me, and then you find out you eject him from the game for using a sticky substance, I should get that inning back. Because what was the whole point of checking him after he pitches? It makes no sense. And I know starters have to be checked twice during the game or whatnot. So now if a starter gets checked twice and it's the 4th inning and he's pitching into the 6th or 7th inning, what's to stop him from using then? And I know, managers can say, hey, I want you to go look or I want you to go check them. But the MLB, especially implementing this in the middle of the season, was stupid. That was their first mistake. The second mistake is they need to have specific testing in place for this. They need to train the umpires on how to determine the difference between rosin and anything else that they could be using. It's just, to me, the whole thing was done the wrong way. MLB dropped the ball again. Rob Manfred dropped the ball again. And Rob Manfred needs to go. It's just that simple. So we are going to go ahead and take another break. When we get back, we will get into a few more sports headlines. We'll talk about the stuff you guys want to talk about. So Javier, Buck, Michelle, anybody else watching right now, if you guys have anything you want to hear us talk about, feel free to hit us up in the chat, and we will be right back.
What is your name?
What?
What is your name?
Buck.
Where did you get that shirt?
It's funny that you should ask that. Head over to manhourradio.com. You can pick up the shirt up. $15.
And we back. All right, guys. Javier Gonzalez. I told him to tell us what we want to talk about. He says boxing. I'm not talking boxing. I'm sorry. I just look there. Boxing is a dead sport. It's just a dead sport.
Is
it's
Pacquiao human?
Jeez,
No.
Crow.
I'll just answer that now. No, Pacquiao is not human.
Anyway, so we've got, the NFL has approved for teams in 2022, I believe it is, to start using throwback helmets.
Yep.
Which throwback helmet are you most excited to see come back?
There's a couple of them. One, as much as I hated and made fun of the uniforms, the old school Buccaneers, the creamsicle Buccaneer,
Yeah, the creamsicle Bucks. Yeah,
with the knife in his mouth. The football, the Patriot with the football helmet.
Dude, the Patriots one for me is to me that was the best helmet in NFL history. I loved that logo. I loved that helmet. Every time I'm playing Madden, if I use the Patriots, that's the logo that I use. I love the Patriots throwback.
The other one I really like is the Rams one, where it was like the lighter blue with the white horns on it. Like that one, I always like that one. I'm always a big fan of the powder blues, the baby powder blues from the Charger stuff.
What about the Bronco? The Bronco D?
I do like the Bronco D one. Like that was one of them that I'm like, that's a dumb logo when I was a young kid, and now I look back, like watching their logo evolve over the last few years. I'm like, that was probably the best logo they've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, the way it is now, it just looks way too futuristic for my liking. But
yeah, I don't like the Broncos logo. There's a few now that I don't like. I always thought that the Falcons logos were always kind of they could do a better job with that Falcon.
But if you look at like the meaning behind that logo, it's good. So like it's the Falcon, but if you look at the shape of the Falcon, it's shaped like an F for Falcon. So there's hitting me like the one thing that I loved the black on black helmets when they brought that out in the 90s. Like that was kind of there again. They had that swagger. They had Andre Rison. They had Dion. They had Jerry Glanville as their coach. Like that team had the swagger to like do the bad boy in black type thing that they did. So I just
see some of the ones that I don't like. I don't understand. So you look at take our teams for example. Take the Packers and the Bears.
Yeah,
you've got a G and a C.
Yeah.
It's like to me they're the most plain logos. Why don't the Bears take the bear head and put that on the side of the logo? Or
right,
I don't even know what you could do for the Green Bay. A piece of cheese or something for the Packers one, but
piece of cheese.
Like I don't
put a bratwurst on the side of the helmet. Just slap it up on there.
Put some mustard on the side of it or something. I don't know, but there's just some logos out there. There are some teams that their helmets. I'm just, you get disappointed in, San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, they got the KC, but it's got the arrowhead going around,
Yep.
the 49ers have just the SF in a circle. Like, I feel like I was like, wow, whoever thought of that logo really put a lot of thought into that. Let's put the,
like they could put like a gold nugget on the side of their helmet.
Yeah. I don't know, but there are some that I'm just like, man, those are horrible. I like if I was gonna any of the Bears helmets, I would like I really do like the one that we got here, the dark one. But I also like the throwback one, the one that looks like it's got the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah,
where it's got the orange stripes going on. I like that one more than I like the one with just the plain old C.
Yeah. See, I haven't really. The Packer throwback uniforms are just awful. Like they've all been not good.
Yeah.
Like I've not been a fan of a single one of them. Like, and the sad part is like I got to call this throwback, but it was my childhood. Like if they're gonna do that, like for uniform, stick with the one. But like they used to have like the G on the sleeves. Like it's just a little variation in the uniform. It was like very slight. So when Lindy Infante took over as Packer coach, he instituted that, and like. That was one of the first things that like Mike Holmgren took off the uniforms when he took over. He's like, yeah, we're getting rid of the G's off there. Like,
yeah.
He was only there for like 3 or 4 years. So, but
one of the stories that I saw on ESPN was redrafting the 2018 NFL quarterback class. So I'm interested to see what you would think, because I know where I would take them. So let's redraft this 2018 class real quick here. Okay, you have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Josh Rosen. Where do you take those guys?
Ugh.
Rank them in order.
Josh Allen's my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the first one off the board. Lamar Jackson probably be number 2. Ugh. Who else was there?
Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Josh Rosen.
Oh, Baker'd be 3. And I'm actually going to say Josh Rosen 4, just because he's never gotten a good shake. And then I'm going to put Darnold 5.
Yeah. So I would go Josh Allen 1. I would go Baker 2.
That's a tough one between Lamar and Baker.
And
at
Baker,
2 and 3.
yeah,
yeah, that's a tough choice. And literally, you could flip a coin, and I'd be okay with either choice.
And I'm going Sam Darnold number 3. I think Sam Darnold's really gotten a bad shake in New York. I think that he, is getting a fresh start in Carolina. I think that he is going to show that he's better than what people thought that he was in New York. And then I'm going to go Lamar Jackson 4, but that's not a slight it's not a shot at Lamar Jackson. I just think that this was a really good NFL draft class, and I think that this team, or I'm sorry, that this draft class just was really good. I think Josh Rosen, yes, he didn't get a fair shake, but I think there's a reason why he didn't get a fair shake. There's just something there. Same thing that same reason why people are always talking about Teddy Bridgewater. Oh well, he's never gotten enough. Well, there's a reason why nobody wants to keep him in their clubhouse. There's something more there that we don't know. Because if Teddy Bridgewater was that good of a quarterback, if Teddy Bridgewater was that good of a leader, he'd get a shot somewhere. And he would stay there more than 1 year. Nobody's keeping this kid on their team. There's something else that's there.
Well, but the first 2 teams, though, the Vikings let him go because they were like, dude just lost his leg. Yeah. They're like, he's probably never going to play again. He was the backup for the Saints, played well when he did go in there, and literally got priced out of that job. Because Drew's was going to still be there. He had a chance to cash in and make.
But I think Taysom Hill showed us that any quarterback could take over there and run a good short sprint.
Right, and that's why Taysom Hill got a $7 7-year, $85 million contract that's essentially only $1 million a year. Because if he gets cut, like everything becomes null and void. And I think with Carolina, it was more. I thought this was going to be my guy, but I actually have a chance to get the guy I want, and that's what happened there.
So you got Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold was the guy you wanted all along. I don't see that at all.
But Sam Darnold, Matt Rule wasn't the coach in Carolina when Sam Darnold came out, though. Matt Rule was the first-year head coach last year.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's more to the Teddy Bridgewater thing than just not getting a fair shake. I think Teddy Bridgewater is one of those guys where, for whatever reason, he doesn't move the needle for whatever franchise he's with. And he's a very replaceable quarterback to those franchises. There's a reason why he's a very replaceable quarterback. There's a reason why you look at a guy like Sam Darnold and say, look, you were horrible in New York and you got a raw deal. We understand that, so we're going to give you a shot because we don't have anybody there. And then it's a very different story when you say, yeah, we've got our guy Teddy, but man, Sam Darnold is sexy. So I'm going to bring in Sam Darnold, and I think that he's going to be the guy. But there's something to that.
Different strokes for different coaches, though, at that point. If there was a guy that becomes available that they think fits their system better than the current guy they got, would you not still pull that trigger? If you think, hey, Sam fits my offense of what I look for more in a quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater does, you're still going to pull that trigger because you you're probably going to be able to trade Teddy. You're probably going to be able to get something for him. Not what
but
you
that
wanted,
doesn't
but you're
happen
gonna get
if
up
Teddy
under that
Bridgewater
contract.
is that guy. Do you think that there's coaches in Kansas City right now, if all of a sudden somebody comes out and they're playing hot and they're like, wow, he would actually fit our scheme a lot better than Patrick Mahomes even does, they're going to go out and replace Patrick Mahomes? No. They're not going to do that. You're not going to replace the guy who's the guy, and Teddy Bridgewater's just not the guy.
But that's what I'm saying. He wasn't their guy. I don't think he's their guy in Denver either.
I don't think he's going to be anybody's guy. I think Denver will get rid of him in a heartbeat if Aaron Rodgers is available. I think that Denver gets rid of Teddy Bridgewater, and wherever Teddy Bridgewater goes, they'll get rid of Teddy Bridgewater in a heartbeat when somebody else becomes available. Because for whatever reason, whatever franchise he goes to, Teddy Bridgewater does not move the needle.
But there's quarterbacks. There's been quarterbacks in the league that were just like that. They're placeholder quarterbacks. Ryan Fitzpatrick is another example of doing the exact same thing. He's a placeholder quarterback, and very well that could be Teddy Bridgewater could make a 15-year career out of being a placeholder quarterback and make millions off of it. Like I said, Ryan Fitzpatrick has done it. Like for what?
Yeah.
It's his 13th year in the league. So that's the way I kind of look at it. Is like, you're
but
not
we
really
talked about
guy,
Brian Fitzpatrick last year when he got replaced. We talked about how it was a dumb move. The Dolphins, were a much better team with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They went to the well too early. He was already having them in a play. Nobody said that for Teddy Bridgewater. None of us said, "Wow, I can't believe they did this and replaced Teddy Bridgewater."
But we're having a completely different conversation if CMC doesn't miss the whole season.
Yeah. So interesting here. Javier chimes in and he ranks the 2018 draft class. He says 1 is Baker, 2 is Josh, 3 is Sam, and 4 is Lamar.
And then so obviously Rosen would be 5th.
Yeah, Rosen.
I don't have a problem with that list either. Like Rosen's the only one that really hasn't.
I have a problem with Josh Allen not being number 1 on that list.
But
I just do. I think Josh Allen has shown that he's done more with less. Like
I think
Baker
more with
come on now. Baker's been given some weapons.
Was that in our group chat or was that on a meme board that said, Josh Allen took a big step forward in his 3rd year and it said 3rd step and it had a picture of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. Yep.
So but there again, it's not false. That's a big reason for it.
Of course, you get better when you have better impact players. But Baker's had impact players his entire career in Cleveland. He just hasn't. He's that quarterback. Baker has been so far, and I think he kind of got over it a little bit towards the end of last year. But he's that quarterback when you're like, all right, here we go. He's going to take off now. He finds a way to regress the next week and disappoint you. He stopped doing that a little bit last year, and I think that he's growing into a quarterback that can be more consistent.
Well,
Josh Allen's been consistent his entire career.
We talked about it though too with Baker. He became a better quarterback when OBJ got hurt, and part of that is he did not key on him because
he wasn't forcing the ball to him.
Right, and I do think a lot of young quarterbacks that's the trap they fall into. That they will
plus,
try to
I think OBJ is a little bit overrated. OBJ's made 3 catches in his entire career that everybody talks about over and over and over again.
But the thing is he can do it. He can do it consistently, game over game. There's something to be said. Oh yeah,
no,
there's something to be said. There's something to be said for being that threat. That threat can get you a lot of different looks. It can get you open. It can get you can get your teammates open, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think that OBJ has been that guy who can get it done game in and game out. I don't think he's been that his entire career, to be honest with you. I think, did he have, some nice showings in New York? Was he, something where he was crazy? Sure. He's had one season where he's been over 100 catches. He's had, multiple times where he's been, he's got a lot of drops in his career too. You got, 91 catches with 130 targets, 96 catches with 158 targets, 101 catches and 169 targets, 77 for 124, 74 for 133. Like, he puts up big numbers.
But how many of those were at the end of Eli's career when Eli couldn't hit the broadside of a bar?
Well, sure, but I mean, you're talking about this guy in the last. He's got 51 touchdowns, and let's see, 35 of them were in 3 years.
Yeah.
His first 3 years in the league, he had 35 touchdowns, and then since then, he's got 16.
So, was it? He's been in the league 7 years, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna. I can't argue that it's right there. And I've kind of thought the same thing. Where once they got Jarvis Landry, and I think Jarvis proved it now last year that he is the number one receiver there.
Yeah,
and
he's
OBJ
their best
is
wide
the number
receiver.
two. But him as a number two is still better than some teams' number ones.
Yeah, I see it.
I'm not saying he's
again.
the number one. I'm saying that he's better than some teams' number ones.
Man,
You don't think he'd be the number one receiver in Detroit?
Yeah, maybe in Detroit, sure.
So I mean, there's a few teams out there.
I
would be. He would be the number
I like
one
Jarvis
receiver in
Landry
Carolina.
over OBJ. I don't even think OBJ is the number 3 in Cleveland right now. Rashard Higgins, I like Rashard Higgins over Beckham right now, and Donovan Peoples-Jones I think is better than him right now. So I think that OBJ needs to get out of Cleveland. To be honest with you, I think Cleveland needs to get OBJ out of Cleveland.
Well, it's like I said, and we'd said it before. At this point, OBJ needs Cleveland more than Cleveland needs OBJ.
For sure. 100%. All right, so Javier chimes in and says Baker will be better than all of them down the line. I just think that Josh Allen is going to be the best quarterback in that draft class. I think Josh Allen is going to win more Super Bowls than anybody in that draft class. As a matter of fact, I have Josh Allen winning the Super Bowl this year. He says, and I don't like him, but he's getting better every year. I like Baker. I really do. I like watching his game. I would love to see Cleveland win. I really would. I think that football team, those fans of that football team deserve a winner. I talked about LA and Miami and how I don't feel like any of those fan bases deserve a winner. The Cleveland Browns fan base, the Dog Pound, they deserve a Super Bowl. They deserve to watch their team lift that Lombardi trophy. Josh Rosen.
Buck.
Yeah, you know what? Josh Rosen is going to be the best quarterback in the XFL.
So here's my prediction. And I have them losing because I have them losing the AFC title game this year. Josh Allen gets Dan Marino for his career.
You think that Josh Rosen never wins a Super Bowl?
Josh Allen? I think he makes one, but I don't.
I'm sorry, Josh Allen. Yeah.
I think he makes the Super Bowl, but I think the Bills are cursed. So I do think I think he gets Dan Marino. I bet Baker Mayfield wins one before Josh Allen does.
See, I disagree. I think the Buffalo Bills are good. I think that defense is good. I really feel. I think I got the Buffalo Bills winning the Super Bowl this year. I think that they're that damn good. You know, and I actually think we're in a year where the AFC title game could absolutely positively shake out to be, if all the stars align right, if the records match up and they don't face each other beforehand, I think it could be the Buffalo Bills versus the Cleveland Browns in the AFC title game. And who would have ever thought we'd see that AFC title game?
Right.
You know, it's going to be one of those AFC title games where everybody's like, who are we watching?
And then the Browns are going to be going to seal it, and they're going to hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, and he's going to fumble, and then the Bills pick it up and run it back and end the game. Oh, wait, that's Ernest Biner.
And Buck is saying hashtag free Britney. Who's Britney?
Britney Spears.
What am I missing?
Britney Spears fighting the conservatorship against her family. Like, her dad basically has control over all of her money and all that stuff like that. Like,
really?
It's in court. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't hear anything about that. You know what's funny? People always ask me, they're like, if I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, but people always ask me, they said, if you could meet one singer or one female, actress or whatever, who would you meet? And I always said Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. And people are always like, really? That's odd. I said, well, yeah, but they bang everybody. Like, why
so you're
wouldn't I
saying
pick
there's
them?
a chance? Then why would you just pick an adult entertainment star? Because like you say that, like the first thing
but
that
those
popped
girls
in my
don't
head
do
is-
those
is-
girls
is
don't do
Casey
that
Lane.
unless there's money involved. They don't do that unless they're getting paid. Brittany and Christina just don't care. That's the difference.
you could have said Paris. Paris will do you too, probably.
Yeah,
Lindsay
that's true.
Lohan.
Oh, Lindsay Lohan. Oh.
Like if you just looked at her and
Dude,
smiled, she probably.
Am I
Those
out of
probably
my
fall
mind? But is Emma Stone hot?
No, I'm right there with you. I love Emma Stone.
See,
Emma Stone.
yeah.
But
People think I'm nuts
like,
when I say that, but Emma Stone is absolutely positively gorgeous.
I have a thing for ginger girls though.
Dude, she's beautiful, and not only that, but she's funny, and she's got a great person. Like when she did that Jimmy Kimmel, where she did, or not Jimmy Kimmel, what's his name there?
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. When she did the lip sync battle, and she did "All I Do Is Win," like,
Yeah.
dude, I died. I was laughing so damn hard. She is funny. She's just, yeah. If I ever had a hall pass moment, it'd be Emma Stone over everybody. I love Emma
You just
Stone.
said oh no, that was to meet. I was like, you just said Britney or Christina Aguilera.
No, if I ever had a hall pass, it'd be Emma Stone for sure. 100%.
So like I always make that arrangement with any girl I date. Like if you absolutely meet your celebrity crush and they say they would like to have sex with you, you can go ahead and do it. Like that's like fair game.
but there's
I'm like,
what's that
if you're
guy-
gonna do it, just get pregnant. So at least we get something out of it.
What was that TikTok that we saw? I saw it was one guy goes or the girl goes, yeah, if I ever got to meet, if my hall pass would be that guy from the Aquaman. And he's like, the guy's like, yeah. He's like, I looked up that guy. Yeah, he's a good looking guy. That's great. She's like, oh, honey, who would yours be? And he's like, I'm taking Beth from Applebee's. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, I ain't wasting my hall pass on something that ain't ever gonna happen. I'm taking Beth from Applebee's. At least I have a shot. I was like, that's great.
That's the so people will be like, hey, let's go to the strip club, and I'm like, why would I want to go give a girl money to take her clothes off when I can go to a bar, feed her 5 shots of tequila, get her to take her clothes off, and probably still take her home?
Yeah, I used to have a buddy all the time who would say that. He'd be like, they'd be like, yeah, you guys want to go to the strip club tonight? He's like, look, if I wanted to pay a girl to take half of her clothes off and tease me and not bang me and give her a whole bunch of money, I would just stay home with my wife. It's the same thing. So Javier chimes in here. Let's get back on track here. We went off the rails a little bit there. Javier says Dak Prescott will be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL this year. You guys heard it from me. I got my connections.
He already is the highest paid quarterback, isn't he? Or is he playing on a franchise? No, they signed him to a long-term deal.
Did they? I thought they franchised him.
I don't think they did. I thought they signed him to a deal. Now we got to look.
Yeah, now I'm looking it up. I don't think he's not the highest paid quarterback though, isn't that?
I don't think he's the highest paid.
That's Patty Mahomes, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm looking up the contract right now as we speak. I need to know.
So it's a
what this contract
6 year, $240 million deal.
Oh yeah,
from
6
the
years,
Cowboys.
2 yeah. Okay. So he's not the highest paid quarterback though. That's still Patty Mahomes. So Javier, that's not possible. I know you've got your connections, but he's already got his contract. It's not. It's not. What is he going to get a pay raise? Are you going to include some endorsements that we don't know about?
Does he have a GoFundMe set up?
Is he about to marry a supermodel billionaire like Tom Brady? What's going on?
So, quick thoughts though here, Brandon. We got Brewers Cubs coming up next 3 days. What do you think?
What's the pitching matchup?
It does not matter what you think because we are going to call it a night tonight. So, since I disputed Brandon and set him up, guess what, guys? We want you to have a great evening.
It doesn't matter what you say, Torry. Man Hour Nation, rise up.